I got Lucas McGee here. Tommy Lepore here from Blue Springs South. Brett Norfleet. Hello everyone, welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast Prep Baseball Talk, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. We're going to be out this week, Memorial Day Classic. We're going to pick up an extra day. We were out at the Armed Forces Day Classic. Hey, you got a couple of guys here on the radar, gentlemen, that you might want to pay attention to. I don't know if you'll see them down in your neck of the woods, but Caden Lowry down, and he's Scott City, headed to Scott City. These are 14U. Kevin Morgan going to Fort Zumwalt East. Both these guys were dealing on Sunday in that 14U championship. 8Ks, 9Ks. It was a really good ball game, 2-1 going into the sixth inning. So I love to see these kids in this position. Then we're heading into high school, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So make sure you check us out over the weekend. We're going to be out at Ozzie Smith Sports Complex. We'll be live streaming the championship game again on Sunday afternoon. Folks, let's get into it. We got a good one here for you today. We're looking at the state playoffs. Districts are over. We've got the quarterfinals coming up for both Class 5 and 6, and we have some very special guests on. And we have, first of all, Coach Scott McGee from down at Willard. Coach, this has got to be a little new for you since the last, 3 years you've been in the state playoffs, finishing third twice and winning the state championship in 21. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. And yeah, it's you can't make it every year, so if you don't get beat sometimes, you don't realize how special it is when you actually get to go. So, while we're disappointed, we also understood where it is, and I'm excited to join you guys today.
Appreciate it. And of course, CBC coach Mason Horne joining us. Coach, you got 2010 state champ, 2015 state champ. You were there, third place finish in 21, and edged out by DeSmet this year. Thank you very much for joining us as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And I agree with everything that Scott just said.
And, of course, up there with us, as always, the guru, Mr. Kevin Moulder. Kevin, how are you, buddy?
Doing great. Fun time of year.
Absolutely. Everybody check this out. Kevin's got a big one coming up. We're going to be out with the cameras on, it's June 20th, correct, Kevin?
June 20th, yes, sir.
Absolutely, for PBR event. Looking forward to that. Kevin, throw that out there.
Yeah, St. Louis top prospect at Lindenwood University on June 20th, which I believe is a Tuesday.
Indeed. So we're looking forward to that.
So we opened up in 2019, and basically there was a void in the area. I mean, we saw that there was an opportunity to have a retail store where people could come in and actually touch and feel the tangible object that they're buying.
We're going to get into this. First and foremost here, we've got, starting with our quarterfinals. Gentlemen, we got Festus and Clayton in this first matchup. I think Clayton's going to be a big underdog here. You know, I think Festus has got the guys. They were there in the tournament last year, finished second Of course, Coach McGee, you know this team a little bit, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, they're very good, and I think a lot of those guys are back. I believe Hayden Bates is a senior this year, maybe shortstop. Can really play. Mason Shermer is back for them on the mound. I'm sure they've added to that group, but was really impressed with their ball club last year, and really their adjustability at the plate, how they can fight pitches off with two strikes and do some good things. That's a really strong ball club.
Kevin, your thoughts on Festus? I know you've taught. We had that freshman pitcher last year, his sophomore this year. I think that's who he was alluding to there, correct?
Yeah, Mason Shermer kind of leads him and Hayden Bates kind of lead the charge there at Festus, and coming off another great year. Yeah, Hayden Bates, 440 this year with 6 home runs, and then Mason Shermer steadying force on the mound, and then you don't see many at the 5 and the 6A level in state playoff games. So that's some experience that he will have. Some nice experience for Festus moving forward for the next couple of years.
Absolutely. And we may see him in this position. Coach Horne, have you played either one of these teams since I know Festus is down south there? Have you seen Festus at all?
I have not. I hear they're really good, though.
Yeah, there you go. And Clayton, of course, when we looked into this, I mean, it was a pretty soft district. They're there. Congratulations to them. I do not see them getting past Festus. You guys don't have to make picks. That's me. So if any emails, of course, Kevin always does this. Send your emails and your letters to Brian at redearthprod.com. There you go. Let's go to the next one. Rockwood Summit, which I didn't see this coming. Fort Zumwalt South, which I think Fort Zumwalt South has a real chance to head into the Final Four. I think this is a very solid team. 2 guys heading this up with Connor Hankey and Carter Cox on the mound there. And Connor Mendel, the catcher behind the plate, I think he's the glue of that team. Coach Horne, I think you guys played South in one of the tournaments, or did you not get to play them? I think you were in an early season tournament with them.
Yeah, we actually did not play them,
Okay.
but again, I kind of followed them a little bit this year, and yeah, they're pretty solid up and down. So I think they're going to be a handful for Summit, but at the same time, I like Summit too. Good quality club, and as we always say, they're getting hot at the right time.
There you go. Right. Coach McGee, thoughts on you saw South in the tournament when you won the state championship, correct?
Yeah, we beat them in the state semis in a heck of a game. Carter Cox actually came out of the bullpen as a freshman in that, had electric stuff, just wasn't quite commanding it well enough for a state tournament at that point. As a freshman, you would expect that. But I followed them this year. I believe also their coach is the head football, head basketball, and head baseball coach. That never happens at a Class 5 or 6 school. And a lot of those kids play all 3 sports. And so just the amount of competitiveness that those guys have had to go through, and they've been in these situations a ton, I think that gives them a little bit of a leg up. If the talent's equal, I think Zumwalt South is a little bit ahead. I don't know that area nearly as well as obviously you 3 do, but I was really impressed with Zumwalt South 2 years ago, and specifically Carter Cox. I think he's got a bright future.
Kevin, thoughts?
Yeah, South is obviously super talented. They're not really going to sneak up on anyone. They were in the state tournament 2 years ago, as was Summit as well. And just a couple quick notes on Summit. They can pitch a little bit. They have senior Jason Schwarb heading to Missouri Western, Logan Darnell, kind of a 2-headed monster there for Summit, and they've just gotten hot at the right time. And a lot of this, as these guys know, is there's a lot of good teams in this. Sometimes it's just the team that gets hot at the very end and can ride the wave throughout. So Summit's going to look to keep riding the wave here.
Coach Horne, you'd mentioned pitching. We were talking a little bit before we started here for Summit. Go ahead and share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I just thought it was, I think, and Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Wyatt Schneider started the championship game, if I'm not mistaken, for Summit, freshman. I've gotten to see him the last couple of years, just kind of following my son around. And, they got some big contribution from him this year. And I believe Caden Dingus, too, is also a freshman. And I want to say they're both hitting near the top of the order. So, it just shows a lot of guts for that kid to go out there in that environment as a freshman, and he threw a really good game. So, they're getting hot at the right time. They've got some young players that, I think we've all had a freshman or sophomore up on varsity in big games, and sometimes they're so kind of in awe of everything that they don't realize what's going on, and sometimes that's a good thing.
It's kind of funny how it works in those district play, and we talk about it all the time of why you guys go to the tournament, the Columbia tournament and whatnot, even after playing some conference games, and then getting forced into a position where you're throwing some kids that probably aren't your number one or two pitchers, and it's probably for this reason. It's funny how often your biggest game of the year often comes down to the guy that isn't necessarily your number one or number two pitcher. And, Wyatt Schneider stepping up for Summit as a freshman, probably before the season started, he would have never imagined he would have started the district championship game. But that's who you got to rely on in tournament baseball sometimes.
And coaches, when you see that and you're in that's a great opportunity. When you see a young man like that, a freshman, step into that situation, that gives you a lot of confidence going into the next season, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've had that happen a few times, usually in smaller roles, and then it just really allows them to grow their role going forward. Just getting that taste of success, even in a pressure environment. If you there's a couple of guys that can get just a couple of hitters out or whatever else, it really helps. But to have a major role as a freshman is pretty impressive from the Summit guys there.
Well, guys, to me, the bottom bracket for these quarterfinals, I think, is really where, Francis Borgia, Glendale, Webb City, Kearney. I have not seen Webb City or Kearney. I know about Francis Borgia a little bit. Of course, Glendale we've talked about. And but these are the teams here, I think, at the bottom side. These are going to be some tough games. I'm not taking anything away from Summit, and we'll see what happens there. But when you just look at it on paper, all year these teams have been fighting at the top of that, top of the Class 5. And Glendale, Francis Borgia, I know, Coach, you again, you're, as you alluded to, talk about that matchup there. You just saw Glendale in the district final. What do you see with these two teams?
I know Borgia's got a good arm that throws hard, but Glendale, for a Class 5 school, I think they would be an upper echelon Class 6 lineup. Their position player group is really, really strong. The top 6 hitters in that lineup are, 3 of them are going to D1 schools, one's going to a D2 school. They're all athletic. They don't swing and miss much, and it's a really good team that maybe is the best defensive infield down in this area. And then they've got a senior named Brooks Kettering, who I think is the best player in Southwest Missouri this year. He's going to SEMO, leadoff hitter. I think he has 4 home runs and 4 strikeouts. That doesn't happen very often in high school baseball, plus just all the other accolades that he brings to the table. Patient guy, good discipline. So Glendale's pitching staff the ball's going to be in play a lot. They aren't going to strike many guys out, but Glendale makes it work defensively, and that's going to be a heck of a game. I would take Glendale on that just from watching them play. I saw them play 7 times this year, and the schedule they played and everything else. They're really a really strong ball club. It's just going to come down to whether they can hit velocity on Saturday.
Kevin, your thoughts? This is one that you really lick your chops at, don't you, bud?
Yeah, I don't want to say funny. Maybe it's funny for my spot, but Glendale. We talked about this a week ago. I thought that was the toughest district in the state. We were looking at it and we're like, there's 3 teams in this district that could win the state championship easily, like Camdenton, Willard, and obviously Glendale. And then you throw in some other good teams. Branson was a good baseball team. And then Glendale's treat for winning the state championship type district is they get to face Jack Noby and Borgia, who's Jack Noby's one of the best arms in 5A, just in the state. Big athletic 6'3" right-hander that can be up to 93. Can also do it with the bat. I think he had 4 hits in that championship win against Washington, who was no slouch in their own right. So this is going to be this is maybe the matchup of 5A right here in this round, as Borgia versus Glendale. And everything Coach just said about Glendale, my goodness, their lineup is the real deal. It's one of the best in the state. Brooks Kettering is hard not to like. He's a coach's dream. He plays the game right. And then just in pure talent, other than maybe Nazan Zanatello, Sebastian Norman is basically what you're looking for in a baseball player. He can run, hit for power. He's got a big arm. In terms of rollability, he's one of a handful of players that would be in the conversation for best in the state in terms of tools, in my opinion, for my money.
Very good. Coach Horne, don't want to leave you out of this. I'm not quite sure if you've seen either one of these 2 teams this year. Borgia, I know, being over in around the Washington area, and I know Glendale traveled some to play some tournaments. Did you get a chance to see either one of these guys?
Yeah, no, I haven't. But again, you look at historically, both schools historically are very good, well coached, and unfortunately, I don't have a lot to offer.
No, that's fine.
With the breakdown of the teams, but again, everything I just heard sounds like it's going to be one heck of a quarterfinal, and this is the fun time of year for everybody. You get to this time of year, everybody's really good, and everybody thinks that they're going to win. So, and everybody's got confidence. So that's what makes this time of year fun. And sometimes that team that on paper should roll through this, sometimes it doesn't happen, right?
Right.
So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Kevin, Webb City, Kearney. Kearney, isn't that Kansas City area, correct?
Yes. Yep. Northern KC.
So we got a Webb City from Joplin area, northern, Kearney up in the northwest, southwest. What do you know from these squads? Because I don't know anything.
Both traditional powers. I mean, they've been. These aren't teams that sneak up on it. They both have good programs. They're there year in, year out. So this will be a fun matchup. I don't know these rosters super well, to be upfront and honest, but they are good powers, and they've been there before.
Coach McGee, you guys played Webb City this year, correct? Were they on your schedule?
Yeah, they're in our conference, and they didn't just play our. They put you're playing Nixa and us and some other really good schools. They've also traveled some. I know they played a doubleheader with Francis Howell. They have went out and played some good people to prepare them for that. Kearney beat Glendale early this year, which is a noticeable win. I didn't see Kearney. I will say Webb's pitching. They're led by Kaylor Darnell, who is going to Missouri Southern to play for his uncle. Kaylor threw a shutout in the district championship against Mack County, and he's a mid-80 strike thrower that can spin it. They're very athletic. As we all know, Webb's a big football school. and a lot of those guys, dominate in the secondary and at linebackers in football season, and come out and just cover tons of ground on the baseball field. Webb's not a great offensive ball club. I would expect this to be a 2-1, 3-2 type game, just looking at scores and knowing a little bit about these rosters. And, I think it's also two schools that are pretty good at some other sports. There's a lot of competitors in these groups. I think this may be the most competitive. Like if I had to pick a game to go to extra innings, it's that game on Saturday.
Very good. Wow. So I was right. This bottom part of the bracket's going to be brutal. And I love it because that's playoff baseball. It should be. It should be hard. When you guys go into these tournaments, you're as Coach Horne, you said it there, you're facing the top. These teams are confident. They're on rolls. And whoever really takes the momentum early kind of gets themselves going and can kind of make that run, correct?
Yeah. I think when you get to this time of year, especially trying to avoid the big inning is paramount to these games, because if you go down, 4 or 5 early, it is such a hill to climb, in a 7-inning game to get out of that. The team, you see this at the professional level too in the postseason. The team that scores first is usually going to have a pretty good shot at winning. So avoiding the big inning and limiting those mistakes, as always, is really the name of the game when you get to this time of year.
Well, I'll tell you, I always do this because I'm bad at it, and it's fun. And Kevin knows that my GAC picks were pretty horrible this year as well. But I think with this Class 5, I'm looking at Festus and Zumwalt South in the top. I think I just like the way Zumwalt South plays the game. I think they put a lot of pressure. I've seen them and myself. And I love Connor Mendel behind the plate. I watched this kid back pick a guy that wandered off second too far. At second base, throws a seed from his knee, pop the kid. He has an understanding of the game, and I think just that command of that with the pitching staff, the trust they have, the lineup at the top. I think they're 6'7", pretty good deep. They hit the ball well. I think Zumwalt South is going to move to the final as well. With Borgia, Glendale, Webb City, Kearney. Glendale's been at the top there for most of the year. I think they're going to get through. I think that's, and it's a pick of my, because I don't know the other teams, but I think you're going to see, I think it'll be Zumwalt South and Glendale in the final. That's what I think. So we'll see if I'm right. It's always fun to do that, and then you go, boy, that was all wrong. But it's fun. Hey, guys, we're going to move to the Class 6 side of this at this point. And at the top, right off the bat, who thought Lafayette was going to be there running that gauntlet? Kevin, go ahead.
That was the district we talked about a week ago, and we legitimately said on the front end, this thing is wide open. There's 5 teams that can win it, and the 5th team won it. So, that wasn't just coach speak or just a talking point. That legit happened. Lafayette's lineup is the real deal, and they got hot, and they threw enough strikes on the mound, and they ran the table. Really, that was as an impressive run as anyone put together all week, I thought, with the teams they had to knock off.
Yeah. Exactly. Jackson on the other side of that, Coach, we were out, Coach Horne, we were out with you guys playing Jackson with Bogenpole on the mound, that lineup. That's going to be a tough team to beat, isn't it?
Yeah. They're very scary, 1 through 9. Arguably 2 of the top pitchers in the state in Class 6. Like I mentioned earlier, very, very confident group, very together. I think most of them have been together for a few years. And you can tell when you play certain teams that they just believe that they're going to win. And that's how they play. They play like they know no matter what, we're going to win this game. And they're a scary team right now. That's a team. I don't make picks, but
Right.
if I had to make one right now, that's a team that I'm putting some of my money on.
Not the house, just some.
No, just the garage.
Just the garage. Oh, mercy.
But they're really good. I mean, again, that's a team that if you look at what they've done all year, they're battle tested. Again, great pitching on the mound. Hitters 1 through 9 can really do some damage. And you just got to pick your poison there. 1 through 6, 1 through 7, because all those guys can hit doubles and drive it out of the park. So. That's going to be a really good matchup for somebody.
Absolutely.
The interesting thing about that is I think the tournament or the way the playoffs are set up sets up really well for Jackson, because they have a phenomenal 1-2. But I would say Sauer is a clear-cut starting pitcher, and Bogenpool is just a freak show athlete. He's going to hit in the middle of the lineup. He's got light tower power. He can start, and he does start for him. But maybe the ideal role for him, like in long term, might be coming out of a bullpen one day, and that's what they're going to be able to do on Saturday. I haven't talked to them, but I would bet money that Sauer would start, and if he doesn't throw a complete game, Bogenpool will come in and out of the bullpen. That's going to be 92, 94. I've seen him up to 95. That is a heck of a 1-2 to run out to go to the state tournament. So, but Lafayette has. Found a way to pull it off, and they got some big-time bats as well. So it will be a fun matchup.
Coach McGee, thoughts on either one of these guys?
Yeah, I don't know anything about Lafayette, but I do know quite a bit about Jackson. J.P. Sauer, I think he's going to dominate the bottom half of most lineups because he's such a strike thrower. He's got a put-away pitch. Bogenpool's a bit streaky as an offensive player, and right now he is as hot as any hitter in this state. He tore through that district, and you can't pitch around him because there's guys on base for him so much. It's hard to walk guys to load bases in the middle of that order. Henley Parker is a really nice offensive player who uses all fields. He's an athlete. That whole team plays just a little bit of a swagger or an edge that kind of reminds me of some of those old Francis Howell teams from when the Perkins whole family was playing. That's kind of how Jackson carries themselves. It's pretty exciting to watch.
I love when the whole family was playing.
That game will be in Jackson as well, and that's a really impressive atmosphere, and I am all but certain the town will be out for that one. So that will be a tough and fun environment to witness on Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah, no doubt.
Guys, DeSmet, Francis Howell doesn't get easier. When Coach Canavan, I'd met him back before when he was at MICDS. They'd won the state title, got to know him, talking to him about baseball. We've had him on the show a few times. I really like Coach Canavan, and he's got DeSmet rolling along here. They've got pitching. Of course, Coach Horne, you just saw them up close and personal. Share a little bit about DeSmet.
Yeah, it's kind of been their kind of MO all year. They've got really good arms on the mound. With excuse me, I'm trying to forget them. But
I understand.
Cunningham, Cardwell, and
Cunningham. Yeah, Cardwell, Cunningham. A guy that started against us in the district championship game, Smith, who closed for him most of the year, actually threw really well for them as well. So they're going to pitch it. Offensively, they've got a couple guys in the middle of their lineup with Quinn Argesinger. And I'll tell you what, Landon Edmonds, the sophomore, is as hot as anybody right now. So they've got some bangers in the middle, but they just do a lot of little stuff really well. They bunt really well. They run the bases well. but they're a team, in my opinion, that's going to have to pitch. They're going to have to play solid defense, and they're going to have to get that timely hit to get past Howell. But they're certainly capable. Again, with the arms they got in a one game, winner take all. I wouldn't be shocked if this was, like we were talking about earlier, if this is a 2-1, 3-2 ball game coming down to a squeeze by both sides, because we know Coach P will squeeze at any moment, and we know, and I know that Coach Canavan will squeeze at any moment as well. So it's going to be an exciting game. I think pitching is going to be paramount in this one. Coach,
you've faced off against Howell on many occasions, and of course, both these coaches. That Howell, though, as far as talent-wise, up and down that lineup, I know you got pitching, but there's you can't take there's nobody to take a break in that lineup. Thoughts?
Yeah. The thing is about makes them so tough is that if you are pitching well against them, and they're not barreling stuff, and every guy in that lineup's a tough out, then here comes the bunt game. And I think that, again, that's going to be an equalizer in this game is, can DeSmet defend the bunt? Because it's going to be there, and it's going to be everybody in that lineup will drop one down. And if you can't defend that, it's going to be really hard to stop it. So, but yeah, they're a very tough lineup. 29 wins this year. They're battle tested. Same thing. They believe they can win. I think they're out to prove something. And it's going to be a really big time dogfight. And I believe they're at DeSmet, if I'm not mistaken. So, DeSmet kind of gets a win there, going down to, the Viking Nation would be it'd be like going to Jackson. I mean, that's a tough atmosphere. So they might get an edge there, but it's going to be a great ball game.
And we've experienced that, and it is. I've seen 2,000. Well, I don't know if it's that many, but it's definitely close to 1,000 people out at that stadium, and it's small. Howell's, it's not huge, but man, it's packed and it gets raucous, and it's a really fun atmosphere. So I think it is a big one for DeSmet to have that at home. Coach McGee, you evidently have some experience with both of these teams. I'm sure because you guys travel and play a lot. Your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, DeSmet, I think you guys summed them up perfectly. If this is a low-scoring game, I really like them. I do think Howell had some issues the first half of the season hitting spin. Hold on just a second, let me mute this. Sorry, but I'm at school and we're in between classes right now. Howell had some issues hitting spin the first half of the season, and they've really worked hard. You can tell the last few weeks on that. And then their ability to drop down bunts. And they've got just a few guys in that order right now who are really swinging it well. I think they could get to 5 runs, and I think if they can get to 5 runs, it's going to be a really good game for them. So we'll kind of see how that all works out. But I do think this is going to be a lower scoring game, but I could see Howell jumping up and getting 5 or 6, and kind of putting this game away as well.
Mr. Moulder, this is a dandy as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a great pitching matchup with Naputi and Cunningham, and then all the guys that can come out of the bullpen behind those guys. The thing that's scary about Howell, all the stuff that Coach Horne just talked about, and then they also, the third way they can score, they have a couple guys in that lineup that can change the game with one swing. So you can find yourself in a 1-1 game or, no one on base, and boom, there's a home run. And they can legitimately hit them. So they got 3 ways to score. They got the hit. They can string hits together. If that's not working, if the pitcher's on, then they could get the short game, the bunt stuff going, the stealing bases. And then, if you're defending all that and pitching well, they still have guys that can take one swing of the bat and literally win the game for them. So that's a really good lineup. It's well-rounded, versatile. Jackson Vaughn, sophomore, he's gone He's one of the better hitting sophomores in the state. They had him at the bottom of the lineup. Now he's up to the 5-hole. He's kind of matured literally as the season's gone on, and has had a big year to throw in with all the superstars that they already had. And he's going to be the next one there, along with Leo Humbert as another sophomore.
Yeah, they need some more, right?
Right.
Good.
I will say this. Coach Horne brought his name up. Landon Edmonds plays with a serious edge, doesn't he, Coach Horne?
Yes. Yeah, I love it. Just gets out there and competes. And obviously we hosted the district, and I apologize. I don't know, don't quote me on the exact numbers, but I think he had, probably 6 or 7 hits in 3 games, was driving the gaps, and just played with a ton of swag and got after it on the bases. Yeah, he's fun to watch. He's, as a young player, he's definitely a guy that look out in the next couple of years. I think he'll be a major player in our conference.
All right, guys. Bottom of the bracket here. We're moving over to the, I guess that would be the left side of the state, the western side of the state. Blue Springs, surprise. They're a good team, but I am surprised that that's a big win against Blue Springs South. Going against Nixa, which, Coach, Nixa's been playing good baseball all year. Coach Horne, start here. Have you guys, I don't know if you guys saw Blue Springs at all this year?
No, we didn't.
Okay. And your thoughts, though, on did you guys see Nixa at all? I think you were in a tournament. I don't know if they traveled up and see if you guys saw Nixa.
This was kind of a bummer for us this year. We had them on our schedule. I was really excited to play them because we've never played them. And I spoke to their coach, over the summer last year or during the winter or something. We got them on the schedule. We were going down there, and I think we got a ton of rain or something, and had to bang it. And we ended up going to Columbia and playing that day. I don't know much about them. I know that they pretty much get 20-plus wins every year, and a ton of talent down there. But no, we didn't get a chance to see them this year. I hope to see them next year. But, if history says anything, they're going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I think is really interesting about Nixa and Coach McGee, you guys do a similar thing. I love the post you put up. You put up your freshman squad record, the JV squad. All the teams putting up 20-plus wins. Nixa is similar to you guys. You have your elementary, middle school programs. This last weekend down at Ballparks of America for Game 7, Nixa Baseball Club, 11U, 12U in the championship games. They're bringing these kids up within their system. And I think that's an interesting thing that we're seeing in some of these schools, correct?
Yes, I think down here in our area, that's a really big thing. We have a few travel organizations, but there's still not a ton. And so to try to replicate that, and of course, with Ballparks of America down here, with the Max Creek facility, the school program's still doing elementary. And Logan Hughes, who was a really good player at UMSL, coached at Wayne State, and then he's been the hitting coach at Drury for quite a while, took over that program a year ago. And he's really kind of doing some more stuff in that. He's got young kids, and they're going to be a power for quite a while. So with the stuff he's doing.
And Kevin, Blue Springs, surprise?
Well, it's not. They're a very good team. They had a good year. They won over 20 ball games this year. But obviously the shocker was Blue Springs South falling, but just goes to show the depth. But Blue Springs was one of the teams that had a legitimate chance to win state this year. We saw them in state last year, but credit to Blue Springs. Like I said, they're no slouch though, and they have a left-hander committed to Arkansas. and Cole Gibbler. He has a twin brother named Nick Gibbler. So this is a more than capable roster. And the Knicks is kind of interesting. And Coach McGee knows this. They got a couple of the best sophomores in the state, in Wyatt Vincent, committed to Missouri State, and Caden Cloud. They got a junior named Jackson Edwards behind the plate. So they got a really, really talented roster, and they've won upwards of high 20 games this year. So they no stranger to winning as well.
That's going to be a tough one. I think each one of these, when you go down here, and here you have Rockhurst coming into this state quarterfinal. I mean, I believe they were the 3 seed in what we call the District of Death. No, that was not. They're in number 7. Excuse me. Number 8's the one we call District of Death. Liberty North comes out of that. Guys, Coach Horne, start with you. Liberty North is just, they are talented. They were there last year. They won it last year. Here they are again. What do you see? What does Rockhurst have to do to beat this squad?
Oh, boy. I think they got to get over, first of all, they got to get over the fact that it's Liberty North, right? Like you mentioned, they're trying to repeat, which is the hardest thing to do, in my opinion, in team sports, is to repeat as champion. But if they can get over the awe of the moment and go out and do what they do and trust what they do, I think like in any game, anything's possible. Mm-hmm. But if they get caught up in that moment and, go down early, like we talked about earlier, it's going to be really tough to knock them off because, again, you have a team that knows they have a chance to do something that is rarely done, and that is to repeat as a state champion. So they are uber focused to win the game. But at the same time, this is why we love baseball. Anything can happen. But I think the big thing for them is they've got to get over, again, they got to get over the mental block of who we're playing and the moment, and then just go out and do what they do. And, let it all fall where it falls.
When you're talking about that and you're facing this, as a coach, how do you do that? How do you present that to your players, getting them to let go of those things? Is there anything you can really say, or do you just got to trust your players that they can overcome that?
Yeah, I think you try all the psychological ploys, hey guys, just another game and da-da-da-da-da. But at the end of the day, I think you just have to, at least I like to give them numbers, right? Because they don't lie. So you can, however you want to break down your team and say, look, we match up with these guys, right? Here's why, blah, 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 blah. And if we just go out and see how good we can be today, we don't have to worry about tomorrow. We got to worry about today. Let's go out and try to play our best game. In other words, take Liberty North completely out of the equation. Focus on what you do well. Focus on, us playing our best game. Whoever's on the mound, no names. He's a number, and go out there and do what we can do. And, you give yourself a chance to win. But as far as, hey, it's just another game, no, that's not going to work. It's not just another game. But I think you just got to be very objective with everything and just let them know that, hey, if we just focus on us instead of who's on the mound or who the team is, you give yourself a chance.
Coach McGee, go ahead.
I think to just reiterate the other thing that Mason touched on a lot of good things right there. I agree completely with him. The other thing is when you play a tough schedule like so many of these schools have done, yeah, Liberty North is phenomenal, but they've also played some teams that have elements of Liberty North already. And over the course of 35 games, you've built up some successes. You say, hey, yeah, we know this kid throws 93, but we faced 93 4 weeks ago, and we strung together 7 hits. And that builds some confidence when you're battle tested like that. And that is the common theme when you see across Class 5 and 6. The teams that are making it to the Final Fours are playing a very difficult schedule. There are no soft schedules when you look back at this stuff, and that allows you then to go back to Mason's point to focus on yourself because it's not seeing anything you haven't already seen. Maybe when you put it all together, it's the best team you've played, but you've played elements of all of these things, and I think that brings a lot of confidence to your group as well.
Kevin, this is the team you've had at number one for a lot of this year. They're sitting there. What do you think, man? They're gonna roll?
If I was forced to pick, that would be my pick. I told you I thought they were the favorite to win state. It's the best collection of talent in the state in terms of pitching and hitting. They got a true number one. Tate McGuire is on fire right now. I don't even know if it's called on fire. He's just that good. He has been dominating lately. He can be a handful. The Arkansas commit. That's going to go, 90 to 94 or 5 and throws 3 pitches for strikes and competes in the zone. He can swing the bat a little bit. And then they just got an embarrassment of guys behind them that are all going to huge schools, and but they've lost 7 times, so it's not like you can't pull this off if you're Rockhurst. And Rockhurst has a good arm in themselves. Marco Dumsky, senior, heading to Dartmouth. Obviously, they'll need a matchup and pitch a good game, and they have good players too. So Evan DeMario, sophomore, going to Mizzou. Colton Wemhoff, they got a big bat going to KU. So they're going to have to get into a low-scoring game and have one of their guys get a big hit for them. But like Coach McGee said, they've played a good schedule. They've seen guys throw hard before. So, but for them to hang in there, they're going to have to play their best game and have one of their guys get a big hit would be my guess.
Well, guys, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. This one, I think the difficult thing is picking these. I always I kind of homer a little bit. We're from this area. I don't mean to be rude to other teams. I really like Jackson. I enjoyed watching them play. I think you're going to see Hal and Jackson in that one semifinal. I think you'll see Liberty North and Nixa in the other. And I think you'll see those are really good baseball teams. I think they're on those collision courses, and I think it's a pick 'em from there. That's my thoughts. Kevin, what do you think that way?
Yeah, I like your picks. I was saying this from the start. I think Liberty North is the team to beat in this 6A this year. But there's teams that could do it. Jackson and Howell absolutely have the more than enough talent to pull it off, so it will be fun to see.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go any further than that, and I'm not going to ask these coaches I don't think that's right to do that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. No, we don't do that to you guys. It's not, You threw in your what you thought about it, and and I appreciate you guys taking the time, coming on the show, and sharing with us your thoughts on these teams in the season. And that's it's perfect. It's great. I love it. And
not to extend this anymore, but just one thing to keep in mind: the year before COVID shut us down, DeSmet won a state championship with a regular season below 500, and their team is similar this year. They have enough pitching to pull this off where they can reset. So yeah, we said all that, and now Rockhurst or DeSmet's going to run the table and ride 2 pitchers to a 6H crown. So we'll see.
That's what makes it all fun.
We were talking about that before we went on air here, and that's the beauty of high school sports is that we forget sometimes that they're not professionals. They're kids, and anything is possible. So if I'm DeSmet, I may be the underdog, but hey, we're going to dream big and we're going to go for it, and it can happen. It's been done before. I think one last thing I'd like to add here is what's kind of fun about postseason is, and I really am interested to see, you talk about all the players that are D1 players and this guy's throwing 95 and this and that. But one thing that I always like to look at is, which one of these teams is going to have a guy who nobody's thinking about, right? who may be that sophomore, or maybe he's a senior who's got 15 at-bats all year, and he comes off the bench and gets the game-winning hit, right? Because when you get into these games, they're going to be tight at some point in the game, and it's really interesting to see. All right, who's the unsung hero that comes out of this thing, whether it's on the mound or at the plate. So that's something I'm really interested to see. Is who's the kid that is not the guy that's supposed to get it done that gets it done.
There you go. Coach McGee, final thoughts?
I agree with Mason completely on that. And, I think to also look at the experience level of all of these coaches who keep making it. It is not easy to make it your first few years as a head coach because of the decisions you have to make, and your game experience helps you with that. And so when you're looking for tiebreakers in a situation of a Howell versus somebody, the fact that Coach Perkins has been there so many times and done so many things really brings some calmness to your group. I think that sort of stuff really helps as well.
Very good. Very good.
Amen.
Folks, we're going to be down at the state championships next week, starting Thursday. We're hoping to do some podcasts, hoping to get some coaches down there that we can talk to, interview. So we're looking forward to a lot of fun. Mr. Moulder will be down there, hopefully, and we'll get him on and get his thoughts as we move through the weekend. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, Kevin.
Always is.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, it's baseball. What else you got to do? That's what I say. So, anywho, guys, again, thank you for joining us. Great panel today. Coach Scott McGee with Willard, thank you. Coach Mason Horne, CBC, thank you. Gentlemen, appreciate your time very much.
Guys, congratulations on great years, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Brian. It's been fun.
Absolutely. Mr. Moulder, have a great day. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Remember, if you like what we're doing, please hit the subscribe button. Hit that dinger next to it because that's what we do around here. We hit dingers. That'll get you all your notifications for upcoming episodes of baseball talk like this. So, everybody, have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, Kevin?
Keep throwing strikes.
It's a good advice right there. And hitters, hit them where they ain't. We'll see y'all next time.